Good evening. I often get asked what got me into rescuing rabbits. Now, there's the story of how the rabbit rescue started, and then there's my personal story, which I've told on Twitter through a Threads version. But I want to make a video of it. Um, so I got married in 22. Towards the end of 22, we started the rescue not long after, and it became a lot of work, and I wasn't really into it. Rabbits weren't my thing. And then jumped to February 2024. I totally had enough. The workload was too much. I missed my apartment in Greece. I missed having motorbikes. I missed doing the manly stuff that I used to enjoy doing. And it put a massive strain on what was a new marriage. Every argument just ended up in fucking shut it down. Can't be doing with this. I've had enough. And that was me done. And somebody turns up at the door with a rabbit. I didn't want this rabbit. I didn't like her little bad attitude. And our isolation pens were full. I felt quite overwhelmed with what we were doing, but I wasn't brought up to be a quitter, and I couldn't turn her away. So we took her in. We set her up in the hallway. She did her isolation that way, and we were trying to make our own forage to bring in some revenue to the rescue. So we decided to do a photo shoot with this little bunny. She was very pretty. During the photo shoot, she was quite uninterested, and we noticed that her leg was sitting really awkwardly. Now, it wasn't like sitting back to front or anything, but it didn't seem right. So we made an appointment at our local vet, and we took her for an x-ray. It turns out that the leg was shattered. It wasn't just a break, it was really badly shattered. Vet went straight for euthanasia. We said no, we want to give her a chance, although controversial. And I think very much case by case basis, we felt that we should at least give this little girl a chance. So we did. We booked her in, and the amputation took place, and the operation apparently went well, and we brought her home. We put her in our bedroom so we could keep a close eye on her and limit her movements, because obviously we didn't want her running around and doing any damage to herself. The amputation was I know I'm using my arm, but it was a femoral amputation, so they cut off halfway down the femur, leaving a portion of the leg. She came home. Now, through the trauma on her body and a mix of heavy sedation, she just wasn't right. She wasn't waking up. She wasn't coming around properly. She was really lethargic. She didn't want to eat. So we spoke to the vet. They said, look, there's nothing more we can personally do here, and that we suggest perhaps rather than bring her back to the vets or take her to out of hours and put her through the trauma of more prodding and poking from a vet, there's no more pain relief they can give her, stuff like that. So perhaps just, snuggle her up and let her pass peacefully at home, and obviously ring us if there's any major problems. Well, I spent hours massaging her belly, trying to get her to eat, just smoothing her fur, and kind of just made peace that perhaps this was how she was going to die. Now, at some point, I fell asleep, and I woke up fully expecting to have a dead rabbit, but she was still fighting. She wasn't doing well. She was still really, really like flat and lethargic, but she was still fighting. And the next few days were much the same. I was spending a lot of time with her, a lot of cuddles, a lot of belly rubs, trying to get her to eat, giving her medications. And at that point in time, I became more active on X. I felt that having my own social media account, because up to that point, Daisy had run all the social medias, might sort of encourage me. And I wanted to show this little story of this little rabbit that was fighting like crazy. And I felt like I just had this urge to show people. And she kept going. I honestly thought, every night when I went to sleep, when I woke up the following morning, I expected her to pass away. And I just hoped that she would get better. I honestly thought this rabbit was gonna die on me. Well, how fucking wrong was I? 4:30, just out of the blue one morning, there's this rabbit sitting right next to my head. Wake up, I want my breakfast. And this went on for day after day after day. She became really attached to me. We spent a lot of time together. She would follow me around. If I went outside and did other rabbits, when I came in, she would chase me around the bedroom because she didn't like me smelling of other rabbits. and it was a real realization that she needed some company. She'd really shown a really sassy personality, but she was really, really loving, and we'd built quite a little bond. And I felt like, this rabbit's doing well. What an inspiration! I wanted to share it with my new followers on X. We didn't have many; we probably have 50 or something like that. And we decided, as I said, that she'd become really attached to me, and that it was quite clear that she needed a bun. Enter Frank. Now, Frank, you've met Frank. Um, if you've seen some of my other videos, Frank was the most patient, loving husband that you could ever ask for. This rabbit was, he's such a gentleman. He was so lovely to her. She was really sassy and a little bit of a pain in the ass, but he loved her and she loved him. As the weeks went on, the relationship grew. She was absolutely blossoming. Frank was an amazing husband, and they were just doing really, really well together. Then, completely out of the blue, we started noticing towards the end of the stump, if you like, that it looked like it was starting to bleed, and it looked like the bone was actually starting to push its way through. It became like an infected scab really, really quickly, just out of nowhere. It was insane how fast it all happened. We took her back to our vets, who didn't really know what to do, and their incompetence kind of started to show, which was a little bit worrying. So we contacted Origin Vets Clinic. Now, this is where we met the most amazing woman and veterinary surgeon I've ever seen in my life. Dr. Sophie's amazing, and many of you know her by now and know how amazing this lady is. So now we've got Dr. Sophie on board. She explained to us with the femur amputation that the bone had actually torn its way through the muscle and started to protrude through the skin. At the same point in time, our X account just seemed to blow up. We started to go from like 50 to 100 followers up into the thousands really, really quickly. Like, this little bunny had caught the hearts of so many people, and there was a lot of people really rooting for her. So the first operation was to basically clean up the wound. Dr. Sophie wanted to get rid of any infection before we made any further surgeries and decided what to do on how we were going to progress. She obviously had a plan. We did discuss it, and I'm going to get to that now. But the first operation was just to clean the wound and get it healed and get rid of any infection. So that went well, and we're kind of on the road to recovery. She was doing really well, and then just another setback. We just couldn't get the wound to heal. Dr. Sophie explained to us that with sort of the newer research, that actually with rabbits, taking the femoral amputation isn't necessarily the best route, and that removing the whole leg joint from the hip socket, popping it out, is actually a better way of doing things. It's easier to wrap the muscle around. There's no piece of bone that they're trying to use to stand on. And it actually helps with the balance as well, because you're taking the weight off that side where the dead leg is, or where the no leg is. So we had a plan. We knew what we're going to do. We're going to get her fit. We're going to feed her up. We're going to do everything we can, and we're going to get the next surgery booked in, and we're going to go on, and we're going to take the leg from the hip joint. Now, our Grow Into It, the community, had really rallied around us. There were some really prominent people at the time. Many of them are still with us. There was a lot of fundraising went on. We're about £6,000 in, and we needed to get this surgery done. She was booked in, funds were there, and on the 30th of May 2024, she went in for her fourth and final surgery. Literally, there was people glued to Twitter messaging me, how is she? People were like, it was insane how much attention this little bunny had brought to our little rescue and to our lives. Dr. Sophie called. She had got through surgery, but she was really flat, and she wasn't coming around very well. So Dr. Sophie wanted to keep her in overnight, and actually Dr. Sophie was going to stay with her so that she didn't have to be on her own. And Dr. Sophie was actually going to sleep in her practice to make sure that she was with her. At 27 minutes past 11, Dr. Sophie called me to say that her little body just couldn't take any more, and that she'd given up. And she passed that night in the arms of Dr. Sophie, knowing that she was loved. This is the last picture I've got of her, and she changed my whole view on what we do. I'm driven by this little bunny, and she stays with me, and her name was Cynthia. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like each other. But what we can do is we can come together for a common goal and to save little lives of value. Now, you might say, you're a grown-ass man, what, getting upset over a rabbit for? Well, if I have to explain that to you, then you're never going to understand me anyway. These bunnies are little lives, hearts and souls, with their little personalities that shine through, some more than others. But we're all here to try and make a better world for bunnies, and your support is how we do it. And my drive every single day is Cynthia, and she was known as small but mighty because she was really mighty.
Know how it all began. You touched my heart, I lost my plans. No rhyme, no rule, no grand design. Just your soul colliding with mine. It doesn't have to make much sense. Some things bloom in innocence. It's love without a